Hello Bookish friends, welcome to the first wrap-up video of 2025. In this video, I will talk about the 6 books that I finished in the first half of January, like I did in my previous wrap-ups. I will insert the clips that I've recorded very soon after I finish those works. Today is the 2nd of January and I finished my first book for the new year 2025, which was the book that I was reading for category romance book club hosted by Sarah at the Bookish letter. In this club, Sarah chooses an author to read at least one book for the month, and the first author that she chose was Farrarella. And I found a quite vintage book belonging to Silhouette line, A Hero in the Nick of Time. In this book belonging to Child Finders series, Kate Townsend, who's the founder of Child Finders INC, specializes in finding children who are kidnapped or lost. One day, Michaela de la Ventura comes to his company because her niece has been kidnapped. She is determined to do anything to find her. And when she hires Kate, she only has one condition, that she would be with Kate all through the investigation process and be like a shadow to him. Although Kate is very irritated at Michaela because she seems to be a bossy type, he soon discovers that he is very much attracted to her, also quite vulnerable. This book, belonging to romantic suspense subgenre, was, I think, a quite good mixture of mystery and romance. And maybe because the children were involved, I was quite anxious for them to find the children missing. And the interaction between the couple was the type that I liked the most. Although they had banter at first, they could communicate very well, which made me want to root for them as a couple as well. Overall, this was a very enjoyable read for me, and I gave A Hero in the Nick of Time by Farrarella a 7 out of 10. Today is the 3rd of January and I finished my second book for the year. I also read this book for tbrathon for the prompt, reading a book that you know nothing about. I took out this book from the library just by looking at the cover and the title. Bir Süpermarketin Hikayesi by Dimitris, Sotakis. There is no English translation of this Greek book. Turkish title can be translated as The Story of a Supermarket. In this book, a man living in New Zealand and working for a newspaper goes to cover a riot that happened in Papua New Guinea. During this trip, the ship sinks and the man is stranded on a quite deserted island by himself, a bit like a modern Robinson Crusoe story. After figuring out how to survive in this island, the man decides to open a supermarket in the island so that he could become his own boss. This book was very, very weird for me. I actually kind of liked the first half of the book. There were some elements in it which were quite good criticism of our consumerism culture. However, in the second half, the book turned out to be sort of like a psychological novel, the blabberings of a man who's gradually losing his mind. If the book had chosen to be just about social criticism or just about the gradual decrease of a man's mind, I would have liked the book much more. And the integration of those two themes I think did not fit well, because I had a quite good reading experience while reading the first half of the book. I decided to give Bir Süpermarketin Hikayesi by Dimitris Sotakis a 6 out of 10. Today is the 8th of January and I finished one book yesterday evening and one book today. The book that I finished yesterday evening was the book that I was reading for Agatha for Alice project, hosted by Emily at Novels. And I reread the Turkish edition of The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie, of course. And the Turkish title was Cesetler, Merdiveni. In this book, a young woman is found dead in Miss Marple's neighbor's library, and the mistress of the house, Dolly Bantry, asks Jane Marple to investigate the murder of this young woman, because she's both very interested in the process, and also, of course, she wants to clear her husband's name, because many people do thought that this young woman was somewhat involved with Mr. Bantry. Miss Marple, along with a retired Scotland Yard detective, tries to solve the murder of a young woman who's been identified as a dancer who's dancing in one of the nearby clubs. I really did like this Miss Marple book when I first read it, and my thoughts stayed the same with this one. Though Miss Marple seems like a secondary character, like in most of her books, she is much more involved in this one. The mystery is quite complex, and although you can sort of guess it towards the end, I think it has a very good twist. The writing is very precise and clear, just focused on the mystery itself. Overall, I did not change my rating and gave Cesetler, Merdiveni, The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie an 8 out of 10. And the book that I finished today was the latest book in Love Stakes series that I'm buddy reading with Amy at Zobek. This series is a paranormal romance series written by Kerrelyn Sparks. And this month's book was How to Seduce a Vampire. In this book, we follow Zoltan, who's the coven master of the East Europe vampires. And when one of his pals do come with a historic type of arrowhead, which has killed his father in the 13th century, he decides to find out more about his father's death and goes to Tibet. And there he meets the warrior princess of a community who would not let any man come to their forbidden land. Of course, the sparks fly between this Amazon woman, Niona, and Zoltan. This book was such a delight to read for me. It had a good balance of all the elements that I like in this series. It was actually quite romantic and also got more and more exciting, had more plot twists than most of the books in the series. But the thing that I liked the most, I think, was the fact that the author, at this point in the series, I think decided to have many inner jokes in the book, such as the existence of vampire romances in this universe made me laugh out loud in some parts. Of course, it is extra delightful to buddy read this series with Amy, who enjoys this very, very light-hearted series as much as I do. Overall, I gave How to Seduce the Vampire by Kerrelyn Sparks an 8 out of 10. Today is the 11th of January, and I finished Playing by Alia, Trabucco, Zeran. This book was the Reading the Globe pick for the month of January. In this book, a 7-year-old girl, Julia, has died, and we are told the story by Estella, a maid. She speaks to us from a locked room. She tells her story as well as how the girl died, beginning from the time that she was hired as a maid until this girl, Julia, has died. Through her eyes, see the situation of how domestic work is done, as well as class and violence against the backdrop of Chile's changing political landscape. To be honest, I have conflicting feelings about this book. I really liked the writing style of the author. She gives the atmosphere really, really well. And the character of Estella is a very complex and, to be honest, a quite dark character. But there are really times that we can identify with her. It was also interesting to learn about the situation in Chile. That of the little girl. The leading events, unfortunately, did not impress me that much. The author, in words of Estella, admits that the story goes off many tangents. Although all of them had a value in terms of social background, and psychological degradation. It really made me feel not caring about how the girl died at the end, whereas I was initially very much interested in how the story would end and how the girl has died and what the maid had to do with this death. This book felt a bit disappointing. Because of the really good writing style and quite good beginning, I gave Clean by Alia, Trabucco, Zeran a 6 out of 10. Today is the 13th of January and I finished the book that I was reading for my in-person book club. Zesto Psomi by Feyza, Hepçilingirler. The Zesto Psomi means hot bread in Greek. And in this book, we follow the story of a Turkish family living in Crete after the First World War. When the Independence War happened in Anatolia, it was decided that people with Turkish origins living in Greece would be exchanged with the people living in Anatolia who had Greek origins. The book starts with their life in Crete and how they built their home. And the story goes on with their journey by sea, coming to Ayvalık. And through the end of the book, they settle in Ayvalık. Family, of course, will never be the same, both physically and psychologically, after leaving their home in Crete. I really loved this story. Could be because my family's origins also came from Crete, and my grandfather was just a baby when this immigrant exchange happened in 1923. It is a story very close to my heart, and I also very much thought that certain members of our family fitted the profile of this Cretan family. And I remembered my grandmother, my grandfather, my grandmother's mother, and they were so similar to the characters in the book. Especially the first half of the book was a magical reading experience. And the second section, which describes the sea voyage, was also very, very effective. And it depicted the reality and the harshness of this journey, both physically and also psychologically. I was very, very sure that I would give this book a 10 out of 10 up until the 70% mark. After that, although I really liked what happened in the end, I have to admit some of the plot details felt a bit too convenient, and everything was tied up in a ribbon. Because I was very much fond of the characters, I also really liked this ending, but this detail affected my rating, and I gave Zesto Psomi by Feyza, Hepçilingirler a 9 out of 10, and I will certainly search and read more books from this author because I really, really loved her writing style. So those were the 6 books that I finished in the first half of January. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose clean. Clean means temiz in Turkish, and temiz is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.